I'm Luann Sims, and welcome to Life After Baby on 1520 AM WCHE and streaming live on WCHE1520.com. From bottles to books, spit up to social media, diapers to dorms, and everything in between, each week I interview local parenting experts. Today's guest is Jen Anderson, publisher of West Chester's Macaroni Kid, a parent go-to guide to Chester County family fun. Jen is a mom of two terrific and energetic boys, ages 8 and 11. She found herself searching for activities, camps, and ideas to get out of the house and for things to do when stuck inside the house. And West Chester Macaroni Kid is full of ideas for all of the above and more. So welcome, Jen. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And so let's just say right off the bat, your site can be found at westchesterpa.macaronikid.com.
Yes.
And this is a local, can you give us an overview of Macaroni Kid? This is a local branch of a national site, is that correct?
It is. There's Macaroni Kid editions all over the country. I think we're over 500 communities and in Canada, so not just the United States. And we basically focus on our local, finding great activities for families to do in their local towns, so they're nearby towns. So we kind of cover a good portion of Chester County, West Chester, Downingtown, that area.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I have used it myself.
Good.
I have encountered it many times looking for events, or it's come up in Google searches, finding things. So it's a great resource, especially when you have looking for family activities and looking for things to do. So and here's one that caught my eye, actually, when I was looking today. Not only activities and things to do, but sometimes articles and helpful tips. I saw some things about back to school, and one of my favorites was 5 things to do with the rotisserie chicken, which is important for every parent,
yes.
right? So
we like to make life easier when we can.
So just an overall great resource for parents who are looking to do things with their kids, right? So do you want to highlight some of your favorite fall activities or things that are coming up that you think people will want to be looking for in the next month or so? Sure.
Yeah, there's so much coming up. It's you look at the calendar, at least I do, and I think, how can we get to all of these events? There's just a lot to do, which is great, and to have so many options, and so many things are free, which I think is awesome. And we include a variety of activities, but I actually asked my kids, what do you think is the best? And they said the fall festivals that happen all around Chester County. We love the Downingtown Fall Festivals coming up. We obviously just had the Restaurant Festival, which is fun for everyone. But there's many fall festivals, and I know Milky Way Farms has fun fall activities getting started up soon, and Highland Orchards. So they love those kinds of things. I do too. I mean, they have become tradition for us personally,
nice.
But I also love sharing about a lot of these fun events.
Are you fruit pickers? Do you go
we
pick
do.
your own? Do you pick your own fruit?
Yes, we do. We love to do that. In fact, this summer we did that at Highland and discovered the Levante beer garden that was there.
Oh,
which was a nice little family.
So that's a
fun
win-win.
adventure.
Kids
it really
are happy.
was. Some blueberries and some hanging out with friends. So
that's great.
Yeah, we do love to do that.
Kids are happy. Parents are happy.
Yeah, it was really fun,
and
we're looking forward to either apple picking or pumpkin picking.
Now, do you do the whole second step where you take your fresh picked fruit home and as a family make a pie or make something special out of it?
I try to attempt some things with our apples. We actually just finished up some of our blueberries from the summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we there's a lot of blueberry pancakes happening this summer. We picked a lot of blueberries. So we do try to recreate something with our picked treasures. But
nice.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And it just makes you feel like fall when you can go to those things.
It does.
Doesn't
Yeah.
it?
It feels like we kind of try to make a bucket list every season. What are our must-dos? Like, if you have one thing you really want to do this fall, what would your pick be? And we try to hit everybody's top picks, each time of year. Yeah, it's just, you can't get to everything, but it's nice to be able to cross the things that are your favorite traditions off the list.
You know what? That's a really good way to do it, I think, to give everybody a vote on what's most important to them. I've been talking with some friends about this, and sometimes I think when you do things just out of tradition because you've done it every year or your parents do it every year, sometimes it's not necessarily the best thing for your family to be do. It's not everybody's favorite thing, but you go out of obligation. And I have a friend who has a family rule where they only do things for 2 years in a row. And after that, they have to find something new because they don't want it to become something that they have to do just because they've always done it. So I like that idea of asking everybody, what's your vote for this year or this fall? What's most important to you?
And you know what? Sometimes it surprises me too what my kids find to be the most important. And it sometimes is a lot smaller scale than I'm thinking.
Yes.
Like I want to make a leaf pile, and I'm thinking grander scale.
Exactly.
And they want to just do the things that kids love to do.
Exactly.
And I think it sort of reminds us, refocuses us as parents to remember what it is that's important to them.
Exactly. Or sometimes when things feel like a hassle, you might not realize how significant it is to your children.
Right.
You might think, oh, nobody cares about this
Right.
anymore. I had another friend who was complaining about the expedition to get the Christmas tree every year. They would go out and cut their own, and her kids were getting a little older, and she said, you know what, we're not doing it this year. Everybody's miserable the whole time. We're just going to go and grab one off a lot and be done with it. Maybe I'll even do it while they're at school. And then her youngest child came home with an essay from English class about how going to cut down the Christmas tree was the most special thing that he does. And so they, but that was a nice window that she,
Right.
Sometimes you don't see or you don't get that feedback from your kids.
Yeah.
So
it's nice to focus your energy in the right place when you can.
So that's, and you know what, I'm guilty of not asking my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I just say, hey, we're going here on Saturday.
Right.
So
And then it's forced family fun.
Exactly. So I like your approach. So if you're listening, consider that, because it might seem like common sense, but it's not to me. I don't usually ask my kids, hey, what's important to you this fall?
Well, and I
you
think
wanna
too,
do?
they grow, and it evolves, and it evolves for us, and maybe the place that or the tradition has changed. And I think sometimes as parents, we kind of forget to evolve with that, or, the season changes in
Right.
your parenting and what your interests are or their interests are. And
Right.
I think it's nice to be responsive when you can.
Yes, excellent. So if you're looking for fall activities, if you check out westchesterpa.macaronikid.com, you can see a bunch of things coming up, and you can see maybe some free activities and some paid activities. Any favorites where a membership pays off versus paying admission? I know that
We love memberships.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. One of our favorites has been Longwood Gardens.
Yes.
We just love it there. My kids used to call it Longwood Fountains when they were very little, because they could just go and watch those fountain shows. So we love that. A lot of museums around. We always think if we're going to go twice,
Yes.
it often is worth it.
Yep.
And then I think, too, it's more so I guess, too, now that the kids are older, but when they were younger, you didn't feel like you had to make a whole day of it.
Yes.
Like, I've invested all this money, and now it's like forced family fun, right? We're here, and we should have left an hour ago, but we paid this admission, and we're
Right.
not leaving. So I think it helps with that. And now
Right.
that they're older, it's nice to be able to pop in,
Yes.
when you have a free hour after soccer and just have a little bit of fun and head back. So I love memberships whenever we can take advantage of them. I love to give them as gifts or get them for the kids as gifts. But
that is a great gift idea.
It is.
I
yeah.
never thought of doing that.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, really good thinking. And you're so right about not having to force it to be an entire day.
Yeah, that was the
And-
biggest thing for us, especially at Longwood, because that's a lot of, activity, and there's so much to do that you can certainly do a day there, but we often haven't, because we know we
Yes.
can go back.
Exactly. And you know what? We used to have a Longwood membership when my children were little, and we would go play in the fountains
Yeah.
and get wet, and they would run around and do all of those things. And I used to dream about the day that they were in school full time when I could go by myself. and
see it
then
differently.
somehow I let the membership lapse, and I've
Yeah.
never done that. Yeah, I was just going
Yeah.
to go sit on a bench and not wonder where somebody had run off to. But that's great. Yeah, and you do the math for many of them, and if you're going to visit more than one time, plus the weather. If you get there and a thunderstorm breaks out or something, or rain is bad, you can always come back another time.
I feel like it takes the pressure off. A lot of the places, whether it's indoor or outdoor, it really does keep it a little bit less stressful.
Absolutely. And I know Longwood is one that I think you also get guest passes with, so it's nice.
And a lot of the memberships offer perks otherwise, like you get a discount on like guests or the gift shop or something, the food, things like that.
Right.
So we like to be frugal when we can.
Free parking.
We love a bargain.
Sometimes is included.
Yes, yes. So there's a lot of perks to local memberships.
Excellent. What about families that don't? I know that I've always had different types of friends. Some friends who are doing things every single weekend. They hit every festival and every orchard, and have been to all of the amusement parks. And I have other friends that don't. That seem to be more home-based and things. For those people that don't get out to a lot of these things, why do you think it's important that maybe they do? Or is it important?
I think part of it, I think it is important but I think part of that is knowing what's out there, and just it's our culture, our Chester County culture. You know, I mean, it really is kind of nice to be able to see that and be a part of it. And it's such a friendly place to raise a family. I think it's nice to be able to find so many of these events so approachable. I think that's often a question that families have, like, can I really take my kid here in a carrier, or, you know,
Yes.
can I really do this with 2 kids? And there's just so much that you can do, more now even than when my oldest was born. I think it's more approachable than people think, and it's just a friendly place to be doing fun things. And I think it's nice to just get out and see other parents and sometimes to be validated that you're not alone. And,
Right.
you know, we're all kind of experiencing the same stages of life, obviously, you know, at different times. But I think it's just nice to feel a little bit more connected to your community. It's what we've personally found when we go to events. Even
Absolutely.
when I go, you know, we'll have a table at events, and I love being able to connect with the people that are there. But I think when we go as a family, it's a similar experience.
Absolutely.
You just feel part of it.
And you bring up such a good point, I think, about people who may be afraid to go out, especially if they have young children and they think they'll be disruptive or they won't get through the day. And I know that my experience has been that you can really bring a baby almost anywhere, right?
Yes.
I mean, you know, even church, I know my church is still accommodating to babies. And every one of us has heard a baby cry, or our own baby has cried in public. And, you know, a lot of times you'll get a pat on the back from a fellow parent. Or I know when I traveled with my kids when they were very young, people came out of the woodwork to help me if I was alone with them or something. So I think it can be done. And I think you made a very good point by saying that you realize there are so many other people in the same situation.
Yes. Yeah, it really is, I think, more doable than you think. And I think we hesitated a little bit when our oldest was a baby to do some of these things, not realizing how easy it was and how fun it could be. And, you know, it may not even be for them. It may be for you
Right,
to go out and do something fun.
Right.
But, you know, I think that's part of it, is that it's a little bit intimidating to be schlepping baby or even toddlers around. But you do, I think, get a lot of, I don't know, comfort in knowing that you're in the same boat with this huge world, a huge community around
Absolutely.
you.
And you learn that you can change a diaper anywhere,
Yes.
right? You can always find a spot.
Yeah.
And I've done it in some very bizarre places.
Yes.
And many times another parent goes, oh, good, I need to do that too.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you're under that tree because,
Yes.
you know, I need the same thing.
Yeah.
Excellent. I just saw on your website something that it made me think about something. I learned that I have a 7th grade son, and I just found out that he gets a free membership to the YMCA this year. And I saw another opportunity on your website that was similar for a specific group that maybe you can mention quickly before we take a break.
The 4th graders have free access to the national parks, which is pretty awesome. And I think, you know, it's just a great opportunity for them. But they get free access to the national parks. There's more information, I think, in an article on our homepage that people can check out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I just want people to know that there are specific programs targeting certain ages or grades or things that you might be able to jump on for free for your
Yes.
kids. I know I missed the 7th grade Y thing for my daughter, but I'm going to try to get it for my son.
Every little bit helps, right?
So you're going to want to check out westchesterpa.macaronikid.com to see what else is out there. This is Life After Baby. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more. Welcome back to Life After Baby on 1520 AM WCAG. I'm Luann Sims, and I'm speaking today with Jen Anderson, who is a publisher of West Chester's Macaroni Kid. Before we get back to our discussion about great fall activities for families, I'd like to give a thank you to our sponsor, A Taste of Olive, featuring high-quality extra virgin olive oils and balsamics from around the world. They have 2 locations, one right here in Westchester Borough and one in Chestnut Hill. They also have a website, atasteofolive.com, and if you use coupon code FAMILY, you can receive 10% off your order at atasteofolive.com. So, Jen, we were just talking about family fall traditions and all kinds of great activities and why it's important for families to partake in community activities and things like that. But one of the things I think we all struggle with as parents is overload. And so we have a segment called We've All Been There, which means sometimes we think we live in isolation and we're the only ones struggling with calendars that are just bursting and trying to fit all these activities in. But if you talk to friends or other parents, you find out that you're not the only one struggling with a full calendar. Do you find that true in your family?
Oh, sure. Yes, for sure. It's a constant juggle. And I do think hearing those words, I've been there, or me too, or, like I also feel that way. It just really is reassuring as a parent. But yes, for sure, we deal with busy schedules.
Absolutely. And I know that for myself, I came out of the gate when I had children thinking, I am not going to be overcommitted. I am not going to have my kids running from thing to thing to thing. And guess what? I do. Even though I feel like we say no to a lot of things, I still feel kind of overwhelmed and overloaded sometimes during certain times of the year. So we want to talk about some ways to cope. How can you cope with being pulled in so many different directions with activities and fun things to do? And the first tip that we have is just to make sure you schedule downtime for your family and to be really careful about protecting that time. So if it's Friday night movie night where everybody stays home, kids don't make plans with friends, and everybody knows that that's your night to be home, I think something like that, even if it's just one night a week, can help. Do you do anything like that?
We do. We tend to, we don't necessarily always overprogram, but sometimes we feel like we need to be busy, just we try to sit still, but we find we need to get out of the house and do something. But we try to set aside time or even leave a weekend day open for a spontaneous, hike or bike ride or football catch, just some of that unstructured activity, because it really is, there are so many things to do, whether they're family fun or after school activities, but it's nice to have that downtime or that unstructured time where, spontaneity can come into play, or just sitting on the couch watching football game,
exactly.
That's okay too. And we like to do that as well. But yeah, it's definitely a balancing act.
It is. And I think if you're mindful of it, I just had the opportunity to participate in something on Wednesday nights. And I said, you know what? I can't. It's the only night right now that we're all home. And I'm very protective of that right now. But I wasn't always. There were times in my life where I would have gone and done an additional activity on that night. So I think if you're mindful of it and you're really strong in your resolve to keep some time protected for the family, it can really pay off. And like you said, even do something together, even if it's just homework.
Yes.
Even if kids have homework, if you're sitting there doing it together, I always have work to do on my computer, and sometimes it's just nice to be together doing things like that. I find
being present is something that we are really trying as parents to work on, because there's just so much else you could be thinking about or multitasking, and it's hard, and it's the kids need your time. It's precious to everyone, but it's being present is, I think, when you have that downtime or it's built into your life, it's a little bit easier to do that, but it's hard.
Absolutely. The second tip we have is to try not to commit things out of guilt. I struggle. I struggle with this because I feel like I should do my part. And, if everybody did a little bit for the PTO would run very smoothly. Yeah. So I always feel aware of wanting to do my part, but sometimes it's just impossible, right? If you contribute to every Little League and Girl Scout and PTO and church and whatever work or other organizations you're involved in, it's just impossible.
It can definitely get overwhelming. One of the things that another publisher actually shared with me, shared with the Macaroni Kid community in general, was that no is a complete sentence.
I love
and
that.
I love it, right? I mean, because so many times we feel like we need to quantify why we can't do something, or give a defense as to why we can't volunteer for that extra activity. And I agree with you. I think volunteering, whether it be for the PTO or a charity event, adds so much to your life, your children's life, but you can't do it all. You can do any of those things that you want, but you can't do every single one of them. That's another another thing I've learned from our publisher community. But no is a complete sentence.
I like that.
You can't do it, you can't do it, and you don't have to explain yourself.
Yes.
Necessarily. So
I like that a lot.
It frees you up from a lot of guilt, because we really can torture ourselves with guilt.
Yes. And another thing somebody taught me once that I have to put into practice more is to never give a yes right on the spot. Even if it's something you're going to do, get in the habit of asking for 24 hours to think about it, or to make sure it fits your schedule or whatever it might be. And that lets you step back and maybe remember, you know what, last time I promised to make 12 lasagnas for the school luncheon, I was up all night and it didn't go so well. And I got sick because I was, or whatever. So it kind of gives you time to reflect back on, because I get caught up in the excitement of the moment as well. And it's, I want to do certain things. But when I have the time and the space to really sit and go, is this good for me and my family? Are they going to fill their need without me being there? A lot of times it's yes. There are other people that maybe are more free to do this thing and I don't have to be there.
Sure. And, again, like that season in your life that you might have volunteered for that, it might have worked well for you. But things change all the time in a family, environment, whether your kids are just older and busier or you're older and busier and your work is busier, whatever it is. I mean, I think just because you've always done it doesn't mean you always have to. Unless you want to.
That is an excellent point.
I feel like it's just that same message of, revisiting your priorities, feeling if it works for your family unit. Because you can certainly look around and make yourself feel guilty for a lot of things or like you should be doing something else. But ultimately, if it works for your family, then it's a go.
That's a very good point. This is like good therapy for me because I have been working progressively more as my kids get older. Yeah. And the more I work, the less room I have to volunteer and do things like that. And I do look back and say, how did I do this before? How was I part of this committee? How did I make this work? And you're right. It is a different season.
Yeah. And we're not always nailing it, but we do try to keep that perspective. It's not always 100% on the mark, but it is. I think we found that we have to revisit and make sure things are aligned with what is really important to us, and that changes too, over time. So
I like that. I like that. The next tip we have is to keep your fear of missing out in check. And this is hard too because you don't want to miss out on a good time. You want to be included in the stories after the event or the activity or be part of the team, but if you're doing something only for that reason, I think that's not a good reason to do it. And I know that I've had many experiences in my life where maybe I busted my butt to get the family to a party or an event or an activity, and then it turns out to be a flop. Maybe nobody else came or it's whatever, and I go, man, the only reason I came is because I thought everybody else was coming.
Yes.
And, and I thought, wow, I really could have used this night at home or something like that. So, I think that's another important one. Ask, is it really right for you and your family? Yeah. Does it suit your interests, your abilities, your needs right now? Do you have the space for it in your week or in your life?
Yeah. And does it excite you? Like, is it a yes, right away, an excited yes, or if not, maybe it's a no. Maybe it's just not the thing that is the right fit.
Right. And I heard someone say, I don't know where I got this from, but it speaks more to life in general versus parenting. But somebody said, you know what? I finally realized I don't like parties. And I don't have to go to them anymore.
Yes.
And it's okay to realize that I don't like mingling with people I don't know. Yeah. And so when you realize that about yourself and that it's okay to just say, you know what, that's not my cup of tea, it kind of makes your life a lot less stressful.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the dread out of your day-to-day because I think life's too short to be dreading activity after activity. And so you find the things that kind of spark the excitement and, for your whole family, whether it's something for you personally or for the family as a unit, what gets you excited to go and what do you feel like you're not dragging yourself out the door
absolutely
socially, to a social event or to something, obviously we have to do those day-to-day requirements and we have to get to the bus stop, but
and as a parent, I think that it's also connected to deciding what's right for your kids safety-wise and things that are appropriate for them and their ability levels or their confidence levels. There were times when my kids were younger where maybe everybody's going ziplining or snowmobiling and, things where I go, I want to be part of the gang and I want to go, but I don't know if I'm comfortable letting my kids swim in that pool without an adult, with only the lifeguard watching or things like that. So I think you kind of have to check yourself there, too, and go, you know what? If I'm not comfortable having my kids sled down that giant hill, we're just going to stay home or we're going to stay in this park.
Yes. It's hard because that changes over time too, right? And sometimes I get stuck, forgetting that they're older and stronger and more independent. And so I will, tend to say no more to some of those things. But you have to evolve with that too. Or like you said, follow your gut. And if it doesn't feel right, then you got to have to go with your instinct, kind of it's hard you want to gauge what everyone else is up to and, what they're deciding, but ultimately
right.
you have to feel good about it, right?
Absolutely. Maybe you let them walk through West Chester Borough by themselves and you follow them a block behind and
exactly.
make sure they cross the streets
right.
properly before you let them go with friends. The last tip we have is kind of a very modern one, which is check, are you just doing it for the pictures? Kind of check yourself. We live in such an age of social media, Instagram and Facebook. Do you really want to go to the pumpkin patch, or do you just need a picture of your kid in front of the pumpkin to post on social media or to show everyone that that this is what you're doing? And you spoke to this before. Sometimes the best memories can be in your backyard raking leaves or laughing over dinner when you finally have time to sit down as a family and have a leisurely meal together. It doesn't necessarily have to be something where you're getting in the car and going to an event or an activity.
Oh, and I love pictures. I mean, my camera roll is embarrassing.
Same.
I love it. But some of the best times that we've had as a family, I don't have any pictures of it. Some of those times laughing or just being silly, or times when I chose to keep my camera in my pocket. And, sometimes the act of taking the picture is a little bit a little bit of an ordeal. And so I think that's not really what we're here for. We're here to be together, and it's I love a picture, and I love to share what we're up to. But some of those best times, I have no pictures to show for it.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That's a good point. And what made me think of this was that I've been at events, or you go sometimes where you see parents just yelling at their kids for the picture. Hold still, get together, come on, one more. This is, and you can see the beautiful picture that's going to go out on social media.
Yes.
But then they proceed to continue yelling and whining, and everybody's hungry, and everybody wants to go to the bathroom. And you go, you know what? Those kids just needed to stay home and take a nap today.
I always say, if this picture had sound, this picture came with sound, you'd see the real story. But it is important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just have a couple comments. We like to throw our questions out to our social media community for our It Takes a Village segment. So we ask for feedback from our community on some of our questions. So we asked, how do people balance their busy schedules? And Sarah commented, let me know when you figure it out. So she's also struggling just like we are. But she said just what we said, saying yes to the things that really matters, stuff that really lights you up, and not worrying about missing out. Steph said visuals are important. They have 17 activities per week, not including work, but giant calendars are a big help, just trying to make sure everybody's where they need to be. And Leyland commented that freezer meals were a survival mechanism, which is a great idea as well. And that's all our time for Life After Baby today. Thank you for tuning in. Life After Baby was created by Leslie Hudson, hosted by Luann Sims, and produced by Kyle Hudson. Thank you to Jen Anderson at West Chester Macaroni Kid for joining us today. You can find her online at westchesterpamacaronikid.com or on Instagram and Facebook at West Chester Macaroni Kid. Our theme song was produced by Doug Keller, and we'd like to thank our sponsor, A Taste of Olive. When the kids are finally asleep, visit our website at lifeafterbabyshow.com. Find our podcast wherever the finest podcasts are found, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Life After Baby Show. And don't forget to take care of yourself so you can take better care of them.